and welcome back, gamers. On Thursday, we got our first hotfix update for Wonderlands, which fixed a few different things, but more importantly, buffed a bunch of weapons, including shotguns. Primarily being Jacobs and Hyperion shotguns, getting around about a 45% buff, which is fantastic because it's mostly been SMGs and pistols, and then primarily the liquid cooling so far at endgame in Wonderlands. So now we have 5 different shotguns for you guys to try out at Chaos 20, and if you want to try them at just base level 40, they'll do even better. Our first one is just a quick update on the Rain of Arrows shotgun, which I did include in the 5 more must-have legendaries video just like 5-ish days ago, but since then it's got the buff, and at endgame you're going to see a 45% increase on its damage card, being about 920 times 6. Now, in Wonderlands, they've actually changed the way they buff weapons, so during your playthrough, it won't have a 45% buff, it kind of goes on a progressive scale, but at endgame Chaos 20, you'll have a 45% buff, which is considerably higher than what it was literally 5 days ago in my previous video. The Rain of Arrows only drops in non-elemental, by the way, like most Jacob shotguns, so towards endgame, make sure you add an element to it via your skill tree or like a Buffmeister spell to make it more efficient. Also, it consumes ammo like crazy. It's between 6 to 8 shots per shot, depending on what variation you have. So make sure you buy your SDUs for it. And then on top of that, I found out it also gets buffs from area damage. So if you have area damage on your class mod as a bonus buff, that will be actually buffing this weapon. Also, a quick correction, I made a mistake in the previous video saying this thing only drops in the Chaos Chamber via the bunnies or the mini bosses. Incorrect, it can also drop in the world drop system. I have got some since then, and you guys let me know in the comments section, so thank you very much for that. The buff on this thing, though, is fantastic. It was already a really good weapon, that's why I included it in the previous video, but it's just 45% better now. Again, the only negative is you can still definitely down yourself, and you definitely still one-shot yourself if you do stand in the arrow, like, area of effect. But it's really, really good for bossing, mobbing situations, as long as you can reach the enemies, because again, it does have a limited range. But as long as you can reach them, this thing is a fantastic weapon. Next up, we have the purple Jacob shotgun, originally called the Stagecoach in Borderlands 3. For some reason, it's called the Kettle Drum, but regardless, a really fun weapon. I loved it in Borderlands 3, and it is, again, a really good weapon to use. I only have a times 16 version at the moment. I believe a times 21 and a times 25 is acquirable. Let me know what the best one you guys have so far, but times 16 is still really, really good for both bossing and mobbing. I'd say it probably excels more in mobbing just because you will have to reload a whole lot more in bossing situations. I'm particularly enjoying it on my Stabbo Cross Spore Warden build at the moment because I can use the Spore Warden enchantment. After activating Barrage, gun and ability damage have a 25% chance to cause an explosion, dealing 30% of damage dealt as poison damage to nearby enemies, including the enemy itself. Now, 25% chance times by the 16 pellets. That's why it's a really, really good enchantment to have on a weapon that has multiple pellets. Times 16, you're hitting at least 3 to 4 explosions every single shot, where usually it's 1 in every 4 shots for a single pellet weapon. So as many pellets as you can get on this shotgun is fantastic for that enchantment, and I'm sure there's other abilities out there for different characters, skill ability, stuff like that. Let me know what you guys would benefit from in your builds, because I haven't tried all the characters yet, but a really cool thing to take advantage of with multiple pellet weapons. And it's just really good for ricocheting, hitting critical hits, taking out multiple enemies, which again is fantastic for Spore Warden because they're already ricocheting, doing a stupid amount of ricochet damage. And then you're just adding to that ricochet on top of that because it's already built into the gun. If you guys would like a Stagecoach for yourselves, you can get it from the world drop system because it's a purple non-unique, so it doesn't have a dedicated, so you can get it from any boss in the game. You can also get it from any vending machine pretty commonly, and then especially at the end of the Chaos Chamber, the shotgun bunny drops on like crazy. But there's a bunch of different variations, so it might take a little while to get the really good ones like the times 21, times 25 variations, but trust me, they are well worth the wait. And also, just so you know, there is no elemental variations of it. It's only a non-elemental weapon. Our third weapon today is the Gaia Shotgun by Hyperion. You can get this thing in a times 6 or a times 12 variation. Times 12 consumes more ammo, but it does do more damage. You can also get all elemental types, including non-elemental. I only have a times 12 in Dark Matter, and it still does extremely well in all situations. So if you get an elemental specific one, you'll be doing so much better than the clips you're about to see. Also, like normal, we can get different prefixes and suffixes on the weapon, which slightly change the parts of it. The gimmick of this one is originally the fire rate's kind of slow, and then it builds up as it goes through the mag, doing way more fire rate and way more damage as well. I've seen different variations of it where originally the fire rate's really slow, like kind of painful. The one I have is totally fine. It's like a couple shots that are slightly slower, and then it builds up to a really nice speed, doing a huge amount of damage output for both bossing and mobbing situations. I didn't really expect it to be a bossing machine, but I think I 2-clipped Daryl, which I'm not really set up to do that with shotguns, and also it's a dark matter weapon, but it did really, really well. So yeah, big note if you guys go to farm for this one yourself, try and get a times 12 variation and try and get the higher fire rate one as well, just so you don't have to wait for it to build up each time. If you try and get one, I don't think it has a dedicated currently, correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, but I believe this thing only drops in the Chaos Chamber. I definitely haven't seen it world drop outside of it. I believe it's only a Chaos Chamber exclusive. Next up, we have another Hyperion Shotgun, one I was really happy to see got a buff today. It is a unique blue weapon called the Last Rites of the Sunless Depths, which you can get at the end of a side mission in Walk to Shallows called 20,000 Years Under the Sea. You can also pick the mission up in Bright Hoof's bounty board as well. If you've already done the mission, don't sweat. You can also get it from vending machines. I believe that's the only other way to get it. Please correct me if you guys know another place. But I believe vending machines and the side mission is the only way. But this thing is fantastic, particularly in mobbing situations. It is keeping up with Legendaries at Chaos 20. At base 40, it's already fantastic, already was. But at Chaos 20, it kind of fell off, unfortunately, because it can't roll with an Anoint. It's only a blue, but it now, with a 45% buff, fantastic choice for mobbing situations because it ricochets cryo damage like it's a Jacob's shotgun multiple different times, which is really, really cool. Also, you can double down on that if you do have a ricochet build with Spore Warden. It also did a pretty solid job of bossing today as well. I believe it 2-clipped Daryl, which for a non-legendary blue unique weapon, which can't roll with an enchantment, and also is a cryo-locked weapon, which its gimmick is entirely mobbing base. To 2-clip Daryl is a pretty solid effort at Chaos 20. Our final shotgun today, though, is actually my favorite for bossing situations. It's the Red Hellion. This thing, not quite the damage output of the Rain of Arrows, but that thing is held back by a lot of different limitations, like it's a range, it's an area effect on the ground, which can also down you, whereas this gun operates like a usual shotgun, huge damage output, all elemental types, including non-elemental, so you can be way more efficient with it. Crazy fire rate, which does dump the mag, leading to a very lengthy reload time, which kind of lets it down in mobbing situations, but I'd just say use the other four for mobbing, this one for bossing. Plus, the recoil is pretty gross on this thing. Like, it's really hard to control, which is, again, why fantastic for bossing, particularly for large ones like Daryl. The weapon also comes with a pretty cool gimmick. For every 10% movement speed buff you have via your skill tree or any passives on any of your items, you're actually adding a pellet to the weapon, considerably increasing its damage, which is fantastic for any movement speed build out there. Stabbermancers are chilling with that, because you can get a bunch from your class mod itself. I believe also Stabbermancer and Spellshot also have movement speed buffs in their skill tree. So every 10% you're getting an extra pellet. So if you have 25% just from your class mod, that's an extra 2 pellets, increasing the damage of the shotgun by 50%. If you guys would like to get this one for yourselves, you can get it from the dedicated drop being the Obsidian Wyvern, which is the obelisk boss in Tangle Drift, if you guys would like to farm it there. Otherwise, you can get it in the world drop system, including the Chaos Chamber, which I would highly recommend for pretty much all of these. Very easy to target farm via the Chaos Chamber. Just hit up the shotgun bunnies and you'll be able to get at least one of these very, very quickly. If you guys enjoyed the video, feel free to subscribe on the way out. Apparently 92% of viewers aren't subscribed. Somehow that stat got even worse. So if you guys enjoy the content, it's totally free and I would much appreciate it. Other than that, we have a second channel for Minecraft content. We have a Twitch channel, which I stream to pretty much every night just after I post my videos. And other than that, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Until then, adios.